what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Run with Jay channel. So today we're going to be doing a review on the Nike Zoom Fly 5. So the Zoom Fly 4 was a big hit with me. I really enjoyed that shoe, and now I hear ZoomX is coming to the ZoomX 5, so I was super excited. So now I got my hands on the shoe. We're going to go ahead and test this shoe out, see if it's an improvement over last year's version, and see if this shoe is worth getting. So if this is your first time to the channel, welcome. Please hit that like and subscribe button, as well as the bell for the notifications. And to all the returning subscribers, thank you so much for your contributions and support. So let's get this review started. So first things first, let's take a look at the specs. So as usual, the shoe costs $160, similar to last year's version. And this shoe was released in July of 2022. Last year's Zoom Fly 4 was released around October of 2021. The weight of the shoe is a little bit heavier compared to last year's Zoom Fly 4. So the 5 weighs at about 9.7 to 9.8 ounces for a size 8.5. And last year's version was about 9.3 ounces. So it's gained a little bit of weight, which I'm a little bit surprised about. The offset is pretty much the same. It's still at 8 millimeters, I believe. So last year's version was about 39 in the heel and 31 in the forefoot. And this year's version, I don't have the official measurements, but it seems to be around 40 in the heel and 32 in the forefoot. So about 8 millimeters as well. So the biggest draw of this year's version is the ZoomX foam. So before seeing the shoe in person, I was super excited, of hearing that they're going to switch from React to ZoomX foam. But a lot of things is wishful thinking. It's not always the same from what you see to when you actually try on the shoe. So initial impressions, I got this olive green looking colorway here. Shoe looks very similar, in my opinion, to like a Pegasus. It's a little bit, it kind of resembles a Zoom Fly 4 a little bit, but but to me it looks like a clunkier Pegasus. And this shoe is made up of a couple layers of mesh. You have the outside mesh on top, which is very standard in a lot of the shoes Nike has, as well as an inside mesh, I guess, to provide the support and structure for the shoe. Also, surprisingly, I've seen Nike use these inside mesh as well for other shoes as well, and it kind of gives another layer of cushion on your feet, which is pretty nice. This shoe is a little bit wider now compared to last year's version in both the forefoot and the heel. It's also got a glued in insole, so you can't really take it out this year. The tongue's got a little bit of padding on the top, kind of like a gel kind of padding, but it's very minimal, not too noticeable, but just enough so there's no pressure on the top of your foot when you're lacing up your shoes. On the side, it's got your loop lacing system, which I've seen Nike use in shoes like the trail shoes as well. So it's nothing spectacular or new. And you got the swoosh design on the top. And of course, there's also a full-length plate in the shoe. This year's version doesn't seem like there's a full-length carbon fiber plate. It looks like it's more sort of a plastic plate, which Nike has replaced when they added the ZoomX scrap foam onto the shoe. So on the bottom of the shoe, where the outsole is, it's got a lot of grip on the front and the heel of the shoe, which I don't have any issues about. When running, I didn't feel any slippage in either the top or bottom. So this shoe has great grip. And in the middle is exposed foam, and also in the middle piece right here with the swoosh sign, you can also kind of see this foam within it. And I believe this is actually the plate that's inside the shoe as well. So this doesn't look like it's a carbon fiber plate, but it's pretty interesting. It's like a window you can kind of see through into the ZoomX foam. So there's a little bit of heel counter in the back of the shoe as well to give you some more stability and support. And there in the forefoot area, there is this flared cutout within the foam as well, and for the design. So I did check that this shoe isn't completely made of full or new ZoomX foam. It's made of an SRO2 EVA foam carrier, and the full-length ZoomX foam is made of scraps that makes up the core of the shoe. So it's not your typical like a racing shoe like Vaporfly or Alphafly brand new ZoomX foam. It's actually a combination of a couple of foams. with the EVA and ZoomX scrap, which is interesting. So this shoe did fit true to size for me as well at 8.5. Didn't have any issues with any hot spots or shoe being too tight. I believe there's plenty of toe room in the forefoot as well as, you know, the heel area, and I didn't have any issues with the shoe being too loose or any heel slippage while running. The shoe has pretty good lockdown in my opinion. I didn't have any issues with that. So when you're comparing last year's version of the shoe to this year's version, you can see some differences. It looks like Nike did kind of do a mini overhaul of the look of the Zoom Fly 5. It's like I said before, it looks kind of like a Pegasus now instead of Zoom Fly 5. Big thing is they used Flyknit in Zoom Fly 4, which I really liked. It's a popular material for me. They still have the mesh on the upper, on the outside, the 2 layers, and Zoom Fly 4 had React foam, which is much more durable. It still has good energy return with a full-length carbon fiber plate, as opposed to ZoomX scrap and SR02 EVA foam in the Zoom Fly 5. The tongue is also a little bit different. You have this Flyknit tongue, which is one piece with the upper, as opposed to a separate tongue with some kind of gel padding on the top for cushioning. The back, the Zoomfly 4 had kind of resembles very much like the Vaporfly, the Alpha Fly, with kind of padding in the back of the Achilles area, which is good. And there's also padding in the 5, but it's not as noticeable compared to the 4. The lacing system's pretty much, in my opinion, similar to each other. Nothing fancy there, just your standard lacing system. The shoe itself, looks, good, and it looks very similar, but the performance, in my opinion, was the biggest difference between these two shoes. And also the outsole has changed as well. You can tell that the 4 has very similar Vaporfly kind of outsole, as opposed to the 5, where they pretty much redid the entire outsole, with there's just a lot of rubber on the top and the bottom of the shoe, and exposed foam, as well as the cutout for the foam in the middle. So the 4, and I didn't have any issues with traction either. I felt like it was a very stable, a good shoe. It looks, very much like, a little baby brother, I guess, of the Vaporfly shoe. So, and that was what it was meant to be for, kind of like a, if you're a marathon, like a fast-paced kind of tempo training shoe to use before you use, your Vaporfly or Alpha Flies. So the Zoom Fly 5, after running in it, it's kind of, changed my opinion of the shoe, but, we'll get into that a little bit later in this video. So initial impressions of the shoe, is when I put the shoe on, I definitely can feel the heel, the stack height of the foam. It looks a lot beefier in this year's version. It is a comfortable shoe to walk in for sure, and you can definitely feel the cushion while running in this shoe. The biggest difference I've noticed right away is that this shoe feels a little bit stiffer compared to last year's Zoom Fly 4, and I didn't really feel much of the energy return that I was looking for. As opposed to using it in the Zoom Fly 4. I felt like the 4 was a little bit more comfortable in my opinion. It was more flexible. The Zoom Fly 5 feels a little bit more rigid. It does hold, you can definitely hold your pace in the shoe, but it also, I feel like it's now changed into a shoe where you can use for slower distances. As opposed to using it just for marathon training for like fast tempo kind of paces. This shoe, like I said, looks like a Pegasus, and it also it feels like behaves like a Pegasus as well. I was a little bit let down with all of the ZoomX foam hype in this shoe. I honestly thought this shoe was going to be a little bit different, more of like a energy return shoe with a lot of cushioning, like your typical ZoomX feeling that you would have in your higher end shoes, right? But it's a typical wishful thinking. You obviously won't get a high end shoe for $160, and honestly, you shouldn't expect to be getting a full blown racing shoe either for what you're paying for, because Nike obviously can't make every shoe a high end racing shoe. They have to make different shoes that cater to different people. Not every shoe is gonna feel like an amazing $200+ racing shoe. So I wasn't expecting the world from this shoe as well. But now we're so used to hearing ZoomX foam, then you'd think you put it on any shoe and it'll be amazing, right? So the Nike ZoomX Invincible Run is also definitely an amazing shoe, and that shoe has full ZoomX foam as well without any plates in it. So that is one of my favorite recovery shoes that I pretty much wear all the time. I got the second version as well. They feel very similar. It's just full-blown ZoomX foam, which it's probably one of the softest shoes I've tried on, so I highly recommend that shoe for recovery runs. But now I'm kind of confused where the Zoom Fly series would fit in my rotation. The 4 was kind of my tempo fast run shoe that I would use instead of using a Vaporfly or Alpha Fly for those long fast pace marathon or long runs where you need to go fast or pick up the paces. But now I feel like this shoe and I wanted the shoe to be a replacement for that, but I feel like this shoe's kind of just lost in my rotation now. I honestly think this has become a daily trainer instead of your fast-paced tempo shoe that you would use for marathon training. The Zoom Fly 4, like I said before, looks just like the Vaporfly in many ways, like the outsole with the carbon fiber plate. The React foam, even though it's less softer, I guess, or squishier than your typical ZoomX foam, I think it mixed with that shoe very well to give you a good energy return as well as durability and support in the 4. So I guess overall I was a little bit let down with the 5. ZoomX scrap is what they use in the shoe, and it definitely does not perform like your typical ZoomX foam. So if you're looking, if you're seeing ZoomX foam and thinking this shoe is gonna behave like a Alpha Fly or a Vaporfly, you will definitely get disappointed. It's a very stiff shoe. It's definitely not as soft as the 4. And honestly, I kind of like the 4 a little bit better. It's it's got its position in my rotation, and I'm sure a lot of people has used the 4 or the Zoom Fly series prior to that for kind of tempo marathon racing, fast paced kind of runs. But yeah, the Zoom Fly 5 is basically I've become a daily trainer. It's got cushion, it's comfortable, but I don't feel like it's as fast as its predecessors. And honestly, for $160, I think one would be better off going with the Endorphin Speed. I feel like that shoe is just top notch. It's solid, and it's your great shoe for fast tempo, quick runs, or marathon training partner. I used to use the Pegasus Turbo series until they discontinued it, and that was one of my favorite, marathon training shoes for fast, quick, tempo runs. And Zoom Fly and the Tempo Next Percent were kind of my replacements. So I'm hoping to test out the next Nature Pegasus Turbo when that comes out, but other than that, I feel like you're better off sticking with the Zoom Fly 4. So thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know down in the comment section, what do you guys think of the Zoom Fly 5? Is this shoe worth getting, or probably it's a shoe that you'll pass up on? Or if you have the shoe already, I'd love to hear what your feedback is on the shoe. So if you guys haven't subscribed yet, please hit that like and subscribe button. Hope you guys are all staying safe and your training is going well, and I'll talk to you guys on the next run.